Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us this morning. My name is Chuck Bain, and it is my honor to serve both as the Director for the Law Enforcement Academy here in Wyoming and to serve as your MC for today's ceremony. Due to the Academy's COVID protocols, we're unable to support a full on-site graduation ceremony. However, we are live streaming this ceremony today over the Academy's YouTube channel. We extend our welcome to the families, friends, colleagues, and administrators who are viewing us today as we celebrate the graduation of this basic class. I would ask you now to please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance and our invocation. The class has selected the military veterans within this class to lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I now ask Staff Instructor Warren Steele to come forward and deliver today's invocation.
Bow your heads with me, please. Dear gracious Heavenly Father, I thank you for this day that you have given us. Please just help us to rejoice and be glad in it, Lord. Lord, as we gather to celebrate the accomplishments of these deputies, these officers, Lord, I just ask as they leave that you place your blessing upon them and their families. Just keep them safe. Help them to always keep the straight path, Lord. Lord, I ask that your blessing would be upon our country, upon our president, upon our great state of Wyoming, and upon our governor. Thank you, Lord. In Jesus' name, amen.
Please be seated. Again, I want to welcome you to the graduation ceremony of Peace Officer Basic Class 20C-155. That number does have some meaning. 20 is the year. C indicates it's the third basic training class for peace officers in 2020. And 155 denotes that this is the 155th graduating peace officer basic class from our academy. Basic academy graduation is steeped in history and tradition. Veteran officers who began their careers in Wyoming and who have graduated from our academy have shared the same sense of accomplishment and perhaps even some relief that are felt by our graduates today. Peace Officer Basic Training graduation marks a transition as you begin your law enforcement careers. This transition takes you from being an individual contributor to a public service who now must focus on others and not yourselves. This transition process is not easy. 26 students started this basic class. 24 are graduating today. You have every right to be proud of your hard work and accomplishments during these past 14 weeks. And now, at this time, please allow me a moment to introduce a few people joining us today. Over on the right side of the room here is Chris Walsh, Executive Director of the Wyoming Peace Officer Standards and Training Commission, Jesse Curtis, Deputy Director of the Academy, and Kirk Taboga, who is our Academy Training Manager. Now, no organization can or will be successful without support from behind the scenes, and our Academy is no exception to that rule. Staff members are what make this basic training possible and highly effective. As I speak right now, 3 of our most vital service sections remain at work in our facility. It's their collective efforts that contribute and ensure the quality of today's ceremonies. These sections include food service, custodial, and our maintenance staff. They can't be with us here today, but I would ask a round of applause for their hard work and dedication. section is known for their dedication and their efficiency. Without them, we could not accomplish our mission. Just ask any one of these gray coats over here when Megan's on vacation. Could I ask the members of the office staff that are with us today to please stand and be recognized? Our last section that is here, part of today's ceremony, is our instructional staff. Whatever you may have heard about this group, their pride, their enthusiasm for their jobs, and dedication to students that they train is second to none. They not only instruct a wide variety of subjects, but they also serve as team leaders, coaches, and coordinators. Instructional staff, would you please stand and be recognized? Now, at this point in the ceremony, I just want to send out our appreciation to the county sheriffs and their staff who are represented by the basic students, as well as the chiefs of police and other agency administrators. Thank you, law enforcement administrators and your staff, for the support of these students and your continued support of the Academy. Now, as usual, there are individuals within a class who go above and beyond. At this time, we want to give recognition to those officers who have achieved distinction in this basic course. Instructor Warren Steele, would you please come forward to present the Physical Fitness Award?
Thank you, Director. During basic training, the students attend 36 hours of fitness instruction. These training sessions include aerobic, anaerobic, and core strength building circuit training style. The students are tested physically from the moment they arrive until their PT assessment. Each assessment includes their maximum number of push-ups and sit-ups in 1 minute, as well as their time for a 1.5-mile run. The top PT award goes to the student who has the highest cumulative percentile score during the final PT assessment, based on both age and gender. The Physical Fitness Award winner completed the following: 61 sit-ups in 60 seconds, 52 push-ups in 60 seconds, and 1.5 miles ran in 11 minutes, 32 seconds. The Physical Fitness Award for Peace Officer Basic 20C-155 goes to Officer Jessica Ariza from Thermopolis PD. Mr. Millick, would you please come forward to give recognition to those who excel in firearms?
Thank you, Mr. Steele. To prepare for final proficiency scores, Peace Officer Basic students shoot approximately 1,500 handgun rounds at distances of 3 to 50 yards, as well as 600 rifle rounds out to 100 yards. In order for a student to achieve certification, they must shoot a minimum proficiency of 80% with their handgun and patrol rifle. The Wlea Top Gun Award is given in recognition of an individual's outstanding performance and dedication to firearms excellence. The top shooter in this class shot 99% with their handgun and 100% with their rifle. The Wlea Top Gun Award for Peace Officer Basic 20C-155 goes to Officer Travis Kinslow from the Teton County Sheriff's Office. Mr. Walls, would you please come forward to give recognition to those who excelled in academics?
Thank you, Mr. Millick. The students are tested continuously as they progress through their basic training. They must meet established minimum requirements in order to receive their certificate of successful completion. Specifically, they must pass 10 examinations totaling 654 questions. Will the following students please stand and be recognized for their academic achievements? From the Laramie Police Department, Officer Evan Kamerer. From the Teton County Sheriff's Office, Deputy Dustin Richards. The top academic award goes to the student who achieved the highest academic cumulative average throughout the Peace Officer Basic. The top academic student in this class had an average of 87.77% over the course of basic training. Out of 654 total questions, this officer answered 574 correctly. The academic award for Peace Officer Basic 20C 155 goes to Officer Evan Kamerer from the Laramie PD. Congratulations. Each class elects a spokesperson to represent their class at graduation, to share their collective thoughts and experiences from the training. This class has chosen Officer Catherine Wickhorst from the Grayville Police Department as their speaker.
First and foremost, I need to introduce Deputy Claypool to define what our class project was.
Deputy Claypool in Jerome County. We decided to do a class project for the academy, and we decided to do something that the academy actually needed. We went around and asked the instructors what they were lacking, what they actually needed that was perishable for the academy, not something that wasn't going to be used. So we put together a small project, about $500, and bought map tape for oncoming classes, should account for 4 to 5 classes worth of students past us. On the range, there wasn't enough keys to sight in ARs for each student. Now we have enough for each range officer to actually assist the students for oncoming classes for however long they last. The memorial, we clean the memorial every day when we raise and lower the flags. It can be tedious, so we put together the funds to buy a leaf blower just to make it that much easier for the oncoming students. And then for custody and control, we have, I can't even pronounce the name of it, but so there are batons, there are practice batons that are used on students for custody and control programs. They were worn out and lacking effectiveness. So we bought ones that actually are made for beginner dojos and actually can be used for oncoming classes. That was what our money was spent on.
First and foremost, I would like to thank all of the families that have supported all of us in this endeavor. Thank you. Can us students give them a hand, because without their support and their strength, being here for the last 10 weeks could have gone a lot harder. Secondly, on a personal note, I would like to thank 2 people. One is Chief Bill Brunner. Sir, I sincerely want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for giving me the opportunity to achieve my dream. You see, I've wanted to be a police officer since I was 4 years old. It just took me a little while to achieve it. But Chief Bill Brunner, you gave me that opportunity and a chance. And that, in and of itself, thank you. The next individual is a very hard-working individual that has had to play single dad for the last 10 weeks, and honestly, I am very proud of his resolve. I would like to give a huge thank you to my husband, Sean, for supporting me in my dreams, especially since we had to move 7 hours so that I could achieve this dream. But now on to the speech. When someone thinks of the police academy in my generation, it's the 1984 movie, where there's a Mahoney, a Thompson, a Hightower, a Jones, and a Hooks. But there is no one here with those names, but the characters are quite similar. Our Mahoney would be Deputy Magana for the funny jokes and keeping morale up. Thompson would either be Deputy McPhee due to she's always smiling, even when she's going in for that punch during custody and control class, or Officer McGraw because she is very relentless when it comes to firearms. Our Hightower would be Officer Gomez because he is very quiet, but is very strong when it comes to throw someone to the mat. Jones would be Officer Wallace because of his outspokenness, especially when it came time to getting OC'd. Last but not least would be our Hooks, which would be Deputy Patterson. Observing her doing practicals was quite a show. If she made a mistake, she would admit it, but constantly covering her mouth while smiling. But we have more than just a Mahoney, Thompson, Hightower, Jones, and Hooks. We have an England, an Ariza, an Ayers, Bradshaw, Claypool, Delane, Fryer, Gomez, Grassinger, Girl, Heidi, Kamer, Kinslow, Magana, McGraw, McPhee, Milky, Patterson, Roberts, Richards, Wallace, Wickhorst, Young Chief, and a Zook. When we all first arrived on day one, none of us knew each other, or even where we were from or why we were here, besides the fact that our department stated that it was a mandatory training. All of us were nervous and wondering what we were getting into. Then Monday hit and we had our physical fitness test and our nerves were even higher until we got the thumbs up that we passed. The first 2 weeks were rough. Between doing homework, physical training, and classes, all of us could hardly move, just trying to get into the swing of things. But by week 3, we figured out that 5:30 in the morning is the best time to do PT because it's not too hot and not too cold. And from now on, when we hear the terms Fat Amy, Blackjack, Laredo, or even the names Bruce, Amy, Cindy, or Marv, us students will most likely grunt and think of PT. Then in the afternoons when class was done, we would focus on cleaning our firearms and studying. The best part was 10 minutes before custody and control class, there would be a little David and Goliath battle in which the big guy and the little guy would wrestle. But when the little guy would yell, "Slingshot," the third individual would jump in, all with the goal of bringing the big guy down. But every single week we were here, we were stressed out about the Friday tests, and we would get together in many study sessions and double check everybody's answers just to make sure that we're studying the material that we needed to so we could survive another week. When it came to doing practical activities, that's when I believe, we started to have fun. There was a lot more interaction when it came to helping each other succeed through a situation. When it came to simulations training, our goal, besides simply just surviving it, was to be the one who didn't get shot the most, and we always compared wounds afterward. If we were keeping score, Deputy McPhee would get the highest points for the round that she took to the head. When active shooter day happened, we tried to do the best that we could to not get caught off guard, and then we were completely thrown for a loop when we got into the building for the scenario. It was all a great learning experience, and I do not think a single one of us will be going home without some sort of scar from a class that we took. We have all had our frustrations while being here, as not getting that score that we wanted on our qualifier rounds, or when our computer work says that you only got 4 out of 49 questions right, even though that you know without a doubt you put the right answer in. No matter what, the whole time we were here, we learned something, such as how to work together, even though our personalities may clash, or the fact that when doing custody control, doing flips down the side of the hill in the heat is very unpleasant. We learned that no matter how bruised and sore we were, we still had the strength to keep going. But most likely, most importantly, we learned how to adapt and overcome. So looking back and reflecting on everything that has brought us here to this moment, right now, I have only one word: overcome. Overcome your day-to-day challenges that are placed in front of you. Overcome your weakness and turn it into a strength. Overcome your fears and live life to the best of your ability. Each and every one of us graduating students here today has learned how to overcome. And as we go back to our departments and our families, I challenge each and every single one of you to continue to overcome. For once you overcome the tribulation or strife that has presented itself, that is when you truly succeed. And just because I told everyone that I would say it, there it is. We graduated. Now go home.
Thank you, Officer Whithorse, for your insight to the characters of this class. Deputy Claypool, thank you for contribution for the class projects and the variety of things that you've donated to the class, and I think that that's apropos that those things of which are going to be consumed and used are often those things that we forget about. I just can't help but wonder, though, when you talk about the batons not being effective, does that mean they didn't hurt as much as the new ones are supposed to? I don't know, but we'll put it to good use. Thank you so much, class. And now to our final recognition. In every class, there are those students who are willing to distinguish themselves by their exemplary work and efforts. They strive to become the best of the best within this class and their chosen profession. As a form of recognition for the one student who continually performed to their best of their abilities, the Academy has established the Honor Graduate Award. Mr. Taboga and Mr. Walls, would you please come forward to give recognition to those students who have been nominated for this award?
Thank you, Director Bain. The Honor Graduate Award is the highest honor the Academy presents to a student graduating in the Wyoming Law Enforcement Basic Course. In order to be eligible to receive this award, the student must be nominated by a member of the instructional staff. It is not a popularity contest, however. It is an honor just to be nominated. Once the officer is nominated, a very comprehensive and objective point system is used to assess the nominee's performance while attending basic. The specific areas evaluated are the students' academic scores, proficiency in firearms, custody control, and physical fitness. In addition, the students are assessed in the following 6 areas of professionalism: leadership, effort, cooperation, initiative, attitude, and improvement. In alphabetical order, will the following order officers please come forward and receive your merit award in recognition of your nomination. From Laramie PD, Officer Taylor Bradshaw. Also from Laramie PD, Officer Christopher Groh. And last but not least, from Evanston PD, Officer Alexander Heide. The Honor Grad Award recognizes the one student in each basic class who exemplifies all the attributes of a professional peace officer and who performed exceptionally in all phases of training. In addition to receiving a plaque, and with the intent to encourage the recipient beyond today's recognition, the honor graduate will receive a $500 scholarship for any advanced training offered here at the WLEA. It is a long-standing tradition that the audience stand while the Honor Grad Award is presented. So if you would, please stand. Ladies and gentlemen, the Honor Grad Award for Peace Officer Basic 20C 155 goes to Taylor Bradshaw from the Laramie Police Department. At this time, Mr. Curtis, I recommend that the award graduation certificates be given out.
Thank you, Mr. Teboga. All the staff here at WLEA congratulate you, Peace Officer Basic 20C 155, for completing your basic training. We started this journey just a few short weeks ago, and today we have arrived. On behalf of the class and academy staff, we would like to thank the many Wyoming law enforcement agencies and associations across the state who partner with us to provide the best training possible so that these new officers have what they need to do their jobs competently, reasonably, and safely. Wyoming Association of Sheriffs and Chiefs of Police, the Wyoming Peace Officers Association, the Wyoming Law Enforcement Chaplains Association, and the Peace Officer Standards and Training Commission are a few of the many who regularly devote expertise, financial assistance, and manpower to assist us in accomplishing our mission. We thank you. The Academy would also like to recognize the families of these men and women sitting here who themselves willingly sacrifice in 1,000 ways that most people don't even understand so that their loved one can go out and defend their community. The family events, the schedules, the chores, the missed moments, the anxiety over the potential for that phone call, the pain of watching your officer come home suffering from seeing the unimaginable. You do this willingly, not just once and not just for a time, but every day your loved one puts that uniform on, and they can't do it without you. You took care of things these last several weeks so your loved one could come here and study their craft. We see you, we thank you for your sacrifice, and we appreciate you. Peace Officer Basic 20C 155, we have now made it to the end. You have spent the last several weeks constantly engaged in activities that force you to people, deal with each other, solve countless problems, and at times struggle to see the purpose in it all. And despite all of that, you have arrived here today. You have achieved. You have earned your place in our profession. You learned from your failures and built on your successes. You found peace and rest in boredom. You figured out that people can be incredibly beautiful and unimaginably horrible, and sometimes in the same call. And while each of you have your own reasons for becoming an officer, it is our hope that you caught a glimpse of the purpose of our profession, to protect others, to serve others, and to sacrifice for others. To willingly step into that arena each day and fight the dragons that many times society cannot even bring themselves to look upon. It's a calling, a hard calling, sometimes a thankless and brutal calling, but it's also a most noble and precious calling, accepted each day by men and women of high honor who love their communities and choose to act. We are proud of you for accepting that calling. Our challenge to each of you now is to take the greatest care in preserving the honor of our calling and our profession. Our society depends on you doing well. Director Bain, I recommend the awarding of certificates of successful completion for the Wyoming P.O.S.T approved 605-hour Peace Officer Basic Course 20C 155. From the University of Wyoming Police Department, Officer Winston Anglin. From the Thermopolis Police Department, Officer Jessica Ariza. From the Sheridan Police Department, Officer Frank Ayers. From the Laramie Police Department, Officer Taylor Bradshaw. From the Natrona County Sheriff's Office, Deputy James M. Claypool. From the Teton County Sheriff's Office, Deputy Andy DeLange. From the Sweetwater County Sheriff's Office, Deputy Zachary Fryer. From the Torrington Police Department, Officer Juan Gomez. From the Uinta County Sheriff's Office, Deputy Hunter C. Grassinger. From the Laramie Police Department, Officer Christopher C. Groh. From the Evanston Police Department, Officer Alexander D. Heidi. From the Laramie Police Department, Officer Evan A. Cameron. Teton County Sheriff's Office, Deputy Travis K. Kinslow. From the Goshen County Sheriff's Office, Deputy Abelardo Agana. From the Cheyenne Police Department, Officer Audrey L. McGraw. From the Sweetwater County Sheriff's Office, Deputy Ashley C. McPhee. From the Laramie Police Department, Officer Joshua P. Noki. From the Sumbleck County Sheriff's Office, Deputy Hannah K. Patterson. From the Teton County Sheriff's Office, Deputy Dustin J. Richards. From the Gillette Police Department, Officer Hunter P. Roberts. From the Cheyenne Police Department, Officer Alex N. Wallace. From the Grayville Police Department, Officer Catherine Wickhorst. From the Fremont County Sheriff's Office, Deputy Jesse F. Youngchief. And from the Laramie Police Department, Officer Matthew B. Zook.
During our debrief earlier this morning, I told you I had a few little things to say once we got through this environment, and now's the time. These past 14 weeks for you have required a considerable investment of time, energy, and money to prepare you to serve your communities as law enforcement officers. We have saturated you with knowledge, law, terms, tactics. We tested you each week. We sprayed you. We tossed you. We ran you. We made some of you drive beyond your comfort levels and sometimes ours. We placed you in multiple scenarios that required you to demonstrate your ability to search buildings, make traffic stops, respond to domestic violence calls. You encountered non-compliant and deadly suspects, investigated crimes, handled people with mental illness, all the while maintaining your composure and professional demeanor. We not only did this while you were here on campus, but required you to complete over 210 hours of your training via online delivery, which I'm sure was new and different from some of you in your life history of learning. Despite all of this exposure, however, the reality is real work and training begins when you walk out of these academy doors. The public you serve will be far more critical of your job performance than any of our instructors ever were. Your next phase of training will likely be with your field training officers in your own agencies who will build upon your knowledge and skills to make you even better and apply them in real-life situations. As you encounter those situations, it's important to always act with honor and integrity. Remember that law enforcement is always under the watchful eye of the public. And when one officer chooses a path of adverse actions or behaviors, that choice often affects all of us. That poor choice may very well tarnish the badge that many have worked so hard to uphold. So now, as a public affirmation of your commitment to uphold the high standards required of our law enforcement profession, I now ask you, in front of your family, your colleagues, your administrators, those that are attending remotely, as well as your fellow classmates, to submit to the law enforcement oath of honor. I'm also going to invite our Academy staff instructors to come join me in front to participate. Together, Wyoming's veteran instructors and our state's newest officers to profess their commitment to perform their skills and jobs ethically, honorably, and with integrity. Instructors, if you join me, please. Class 155, if you would please. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. On my honor.
On my honor.
I will never betray my badge.
I will never betray my badge.
My character.
My character.
My integrity.
My integrity.
Nor the public trust.
Nor the public trust.
I will always have the courage.
I will always have the courage.
To hold myself and others.
To hold myself and others.
Accountable for our own actions.
Accountable for our own actions.
I will always uphold the Constitution.
I will always uphold the Constitution.
And the community I serve.
And the community I serve.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the graduates of Peace Officer Basic 20C 155. Our ceremony for today. Those of you online that have joined us, thank you so much for your participation today. For my graduates that are here this morning and now headed out to all parts of the state, God bless each one of you. Drive safely. Come see us again.